Hello, everybody. Tracy, Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast, sponsored by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives the military community a voice in the veteran space to share their stories of service, how they continue to make a difference in civilian life, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has shaped their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I'm honored to speak with Blake Richardson, who is a Marine Corps combat veteran who completed multiple tours, including 2 in Iraq. During his first tour, he sustained a mild to moderate traumatic brain injury, TBI, from an RPG blast, leading to years of suffering from undiagnosed PTSD and TBI symptoms like severe anxiety, depression, and memory loss. After facing a decade of debilitating health struggles and finding little local support upon transitioning, Blake realized the critical need for a better system. His personal breakthrough came after discovering and benefiting from hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBOT, to treat his TBI and PTSD, a treatment that succeeded where medications failed. Driven by this experience and his commitment to his fellow service members, Blake founded Help Our Heroes. He is dedicated to being the vital support system he and others lacked, focusing on identifying and increasing access to effective evidence-based therapies like HBOT. Through advocacy and legislative efforts, he strives to provide veterans, military service members, and first responders with the resources needed to heal and thrive. Hello, Blake. Welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for your service to our country.
Good morning, Tracy. Thank you for having me on and what you guys do with JDog. And I love what you guys do. You listen to your podcasts. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We have a lot to talk about today, and I'm excited to get into our discussion, but I do have some questions for you first about your military career. What inspired you to join the Marine Corps?
So I'm glad you asked that question because I did not grow up in a military family directly. I have an uncle and, of course, some cousins that joined in the Air Force, and I believe we have one in the National Guard. I'm the only Marine in the family, and I guess really what kind of inspired me was, going back to 9/11, I, got to witness that when I was in high school, what was going on, and I really wanted to give back and serve the country. Didn't know I was going to go Marines until one day I had just wild hair, went in there, saw my recruiter, and I don't know, I called a God wink. This is what he wanted me to do, and my path down the road kind of led one thing after another. So again, only a Marine in the family, and wanted to give back. So
Right. And of course, the dress blues are really cool looking, right? So that helped as well, right?
I love uniforms. I love uniforms.
I've heard that there have been a few Marine Corps veterans that I've spoken to that said it was the dress blues.
My mom would tell you that.
Yeah, right. Is there a particular aspect or moment from your service that stood out as impactful in a positive way for you?
So there were quite a few. I think probably the most impactful was my first tour overseas in Iraq. I had witnessed both good and evil while I was over there. And truly, I wasn't the only one that got to see this stuff, but in my bio, you've heard that I was nearly hit by an RPG right outside of the tent. And what I also tell you in there is 3 days prior to that event, somebody screwed up and we had to fill sandbags. If those sandbags weren't there, I either wouldn't be here or I'd be a lot worse off than what I am today. So somebody up above was looking after me. And of course, my comrades while I was in and overseas. That was one big event that was just a godsend. I call it a God wink. And another event we had when I was on guard at a Kazovac site, we saw some eerie stuff. And it was around Christmas time, and it was kind of an inspiring moment for me because, again, I kind of told you somebody was looking after me, and then I knew after that 3 days and we'd been hit that somebody truly was looking after me. After Christmas, sitting in guard, myself and another Marine who was on post with me at the Kazovac site saw a robed figure, and on the flight line, we called air traffic control. They looked in their night vision goggles, couldn't see anything, but we saw it, and kind of eerie. And having somebody else see it as well to solidify it was, the icing on the cake of what we experienced. But, immediately got down, started praying, and knew there was good and evil out there. But that kind of led me down my path, believe it or not, that incident. And of course, there was a few others while in the
Wow.
service, to include a near-death drowning event. So changed my life with two
Wow.
TBIs and, of course, post-traumatic stress.
Right, right. Wow. That is eerie. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about
It was
that.
it was
Um, but your fellow Marines saw it too, so you knew you weren't going crazy.
I did. I did
Wow,
know I
that
wasn't
is
crazy.
something else. Wow. Um, okay, so talk to me a little bit about your journey post service. You know, you get out, you're dealing with TBI, PTSD. Um, I would love to hear sort of a little bit about that journey and to try and get help for yourself.
Yeah. So around 2009, when I exited out, of course, I was at Camp Pendleton. Went through transition assistance program, and as most will tell you, it was a challenge then. And of course, with somebody with undiagnosed PTSD at that time and traumatic brain injury, it's even more difficult.
Hmm.
Um, I left California, moved to Kansas, roughly 2008, 2009, and it was just a challenge. I went to the VA, of course, got on like most vets. The standard of care medications. I was on 8 to 10 a day for almost 20 years,
Oh, wow.
with minimal efficacy, unfortunately. And during that time, went through different treatments, therapies. Nothing seemed to work. And of course, having had my own suicide attempt and know what suicidal ideation is like, prior to service, it was due to a specific medication I was on. I knew what hopelessness felt like. And even with my TBI and PTS getting out, I knew and told myself I would never get to that point. So I immediately, getting out in '09, sought care, did everything I was supposed to do, took my medications when I was supposed to. But again, just didn't see any improvement. Um, and that was up until literally last year. So, having gone through, again, a suicidal ideation, uh, pre-dementia, heightened anxiety, depression,
Wow.
insomnia, social isolated. I couldn't even be around my family. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Until last year when I went through hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and that kind of leads into where things kind of turned around for
Right.
me mentally, physically, and of course emotionally. Um, it was just a wild ride.
Right. And
Healing.
how did you find out about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, otherwise known as HBOT? Is that how you say it?
HBOT, HBOT, correct. Yep.
Okay. Got it.
So in 2020, I heard about it, and I went to a local wellness center initially and did about 30 treatments in a soft shell. There's different types of hyperbaric chambers out there. You got your hard shell, soft shell. So you got high pressure. chambers. You got ones that hold what they call monoplace, so a single individual, and then you got your multi-place chambers that hold two or more. I started out again in a monoplace soft shell and got to 1.4 atmospheres. And I won't go into the nitty gritty of explaining that, but I did about 30 treatments, and I noticed a little bit of efficacy in there. I could sleep, I could think a little bit, my mind was a little more clear, but it didn't stick.
Mm.
So 2021, 2022, again, nonprofit was established in 2017, and we were helping out veterans and first responders, just advocating. I had a combat wounded Army Ranger amputee reach out to me asking for help and assistance with room and board at a facility out in Haley, Idaho, through the Hyperbaric Health and Wellness Foundation. And when I first met this guy, he couldn't barely talk to me. He was kind of like I was at that time, couldn't think, would forget stuff all the time. Of course, amputee, had a hard time walking, walked with a cane. Long story short, dealt with all those symptoms. He went out there, went through their protocol of around 40 dives in a hard shell chamber at 1.5 atmospheres at 100% medical grade oxygen, which is the neurological protocol that it has been proven through RCTs, randomized controlled trials. He came back a whole new person. He was walking without a
Wow.
cane. He could talk with me without, forgetting stuff. I mean, just completely different. Um, just again, it's hard to describe it because he was me. I was dealing with all the symptoms, the between the nightmares, waking up crying, anxiety, depression that you just couldn't control, the noise in the head you couldn't get rid of. It was gone for him. And that was when I knew I got to do a little bit more research because what did I do different? Then 2023, late 2023 comes around. The founder of treatnow.org, Dr. Rob Beckman, reached out to me, and I told him my story, and I told him the story of this veteran, and he said, Blake, you did it all wrong. You need to be at 1.5 atmospheres, 1.5 to 2.0 atmospheres at 100% medical grade oxygen for 60 minutes, and do about 40 of those treatments daily consecutively, and you will get those same results. And sure enough, I started my HBOT journey 2024 around February, and starting treatment number 2, my life flipped. I could sleep again. And
Wow.
as we all know, sleep is extremely important.
Mhm.
So, and I'm gonna stop right there. If you had a question for me before I dive into my experience with it, because it's mind
Well,
blowing.
my question was going to be so I imagine you went through the 40 treatments. Did Is it lasting then? I mean, is this something that you have to continue doing, or like I don't know, do you need like a booster after a couple years, or how does that work?
So, like a maintenance,
Yeah.
it everybody's different. So what the research shows is 60% that go through the protocol, and this is over almost rightly over 2 decades of research. 60% have significant efficacy going through this protocol for PTSD and TBI, and 20 to 25% have full remission. So I was one of the
Wow.
60. I had a lot of my symptoms mitigated,
Mhm.
and I still have just a few that I'm mitigating with other ailments, and we'll go down that road later. But to answer your question, maintenance, if you heal the brain and you heal the damaged tissue in there and you restore blood flow, you don't need maintenance. So
Okay.
this is what I tell everybody. Hyperbarics is the catalyst. I'm not saying it's a one size fits all. I'm not saying it cures, but it
Mhm.
definitely heals. And we got the data to prove it. We got SPECT scans, which are, images of the brain showing blood flow returning to that area of the brain where there once wasn't blood flow. So when you restore the damaged tissue and you heal it, you don't need maintenance. So some
Right.
people, like I said, once they go through it, need additional. Like I said, I'm looking to do transcranial magnetic stimulation. Well, what they say and what the research shows is that these other modalities actually are more effective, to include group therapy. So I've done group therapy a lot going through my journey to healing
Right.
and
Yeah.
didn't get much out of it.
Mm.
After hyperbarics, not only did I get a whole lot out of it, but I've been able to share my experience with those going through it and those other veterans and help connect them to hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And they have their own testimonials. So
Wow.
it's just been amazing at what this stuff has done for other vets. Again, not just myself and not just veterans. Through our program, we've treated an actual NFL player. I say our program indirectly,
Hmm.
and same same outcome. You know, clear headed with all that brain fog, the
Right.
noise in the head for somebody with PTS and TBI. It's hard to get rid of. You know,
Right.
you got anxiety, depression. You know, for a person with TBI or PTSD, you can't control it. It's hard to calm it. You try everything. You
Mhm.
try pills. You try virtual reality assisted therapy. You try, now they're doing psychedelics. It works for a
Mhm.
short period of time, but then you got to go back and do maintenance.
Right.
You heal the
Right.
damaged tissue, the root cause of the problem.
Hmm.
You don't have to do the maintenance.
Right.
So that's what we're educating on.
Hello, viewers and listeners. The JDog Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. 100% of all proceeds goes directly to the organizations we are partnered with. If you go to jdogfoundation.org, you can learn more about our mission, donate, and if you are in need of help, please dial 988. Our motto, saving lives one veteran at a time. Check us out, jdogfoundation.org. So that's a great segue into what I would like to ask about next. So um, help our heroes. Okay, when exactly was that established, and what does your program consist of?
Yeah, so we were established as a 501c3 in 2019, and then prior to that, we were volunteering veterans, but we do a lot of advocacy work for both first responders and veterans, and of course their families through what we do. It actually helps not just the veteran, the first responder, but their family, and I'll go into that a little bit more. But
Mhm.
now, outside of advocating, we identify those treatments and therapies that have proven efficacy through decades of research and data at truly healing the root cause of PTSD and TBI. And we work with the leading experts to be able to, one, either draft a bill or to support current legislation, so a current bill to help make these treatments and therapies more accessible to
Mhm.
our veterans and first responders that truly need them.
Oh,
And then we
great.
also connect
Great.
those individuals to those treatments and
Treatments.
therapy.
Okay. Yeah, got it. So you kind of outsource them to partnerships that you have with these particular treatments.
Correct.
I just have another question when you talk about healing the tissue of the brain, and that HBOT is for, TBI and PTSD. Is this something that could work with, stroke patients or people who have dementia or Alzheimer's?
100%. Matter of fact, I've been in the chamber with a few of those individuals that have had stroke or dementia, and I have seen them turn around. They always don't notice it, especially your older, men or women that that had that dementia and may not have known that they were forgetting stuff.
Right.
Completely
Yeah.
remember, come back in there, 30, 40 dives in, and dives are the treatments is what I'm
Hmm.
referencing, and they're whole new people. I've seen it. I have, I could probably bring on a few to testify to that.
Right.
And of course their family members.
Hmm.
My family noticed my changes before I did, and including my spouse. But one big thing that I noticed, for me personally, kind of diving off here, that I wanted to call out is, and I told you I was socially isolated. I now can be with my family, and
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah,
That's important,
that's huge.
you
That's
know, and
huge because we know that isolation is the worst thing that you can do when you're suffering from PTSD and depression, and because that just takes you down a downward spiral, you know. So that's amazing. And I guess this isn't talked about in the uh, traditional medical profession, right? You know, somebody has a stroke or somebody's suffering from dementia, they get a script for an HBOT therapy. I guess this is something that you yourself or family members need to be advocating for you, right? If you're suffering from stroke or dementia, to get you into something like this that is considered non-traditional, correct?
correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So it through I didn't mention this. I'm a part of the team at treatnow.org, and what they're doing is trying to make hyperbaric oxygen therapy essentially a standard of care, and it has enough
Uh,
data to and research to be currently a standard of care for PTSD and TBI at this moment. So we are, again, there's three national bills that we're trying to push on. Currently, one is out of, I think, uh, there's one in Arizona that's out of Arizona. Uh, and I think there's one in either North Carolina or Alabama area that another representative we're working with to help push on that, to make it accessible through the VA.
right.
And it's been a challenge, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And of course, once you get into the VA, proof of concept, right? And the end goal is to
Right.
get this out to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not just veterans deal with PTS and TBI, post concussive syndrome, CTE.
Right. Yeah.
The general
Because
population.
that's big in NFL football, is, the CTE and, multiple concussions and that sort of thing. It's exciting. It's exciting to see that something like this is actually on the medical horizon. You know, it, it it seems like it has a lot of uses where where it could be implemented. So not just TBI, PTS, concussions, CTE, but dementia, Alzheimer's, stroke, um, you know, because you're talking about, like what you said, the healing of the tissue with the oxygen. It's amazing. And, I have to say, I went on your website and I saw that big metal round tube. Um, well, I don't know. Like, I'm a little claustrophobic. How do you go in there if you're a little claustrophobic? Because that looks a little daunting to me.
It can be for some, and our facility, who we partner with, Hyperbaric Healing Institute out here in Kansas City, Missouri. If you can be in an airplane, you can go into his chamber. It's an 8-person
Oh,
chamber.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So um,
It's
if
not
if
like
you
an
do,
MRI.
no, 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 no. Now I mentioned to you they have monoplace chambers. Most hospitals do have monoplace. They don't have
Okay.
the bigger multiplace chambers, for a reason. They're not going to be treating everybody in one area. I mean, because you got HIPAA, and got to worry about that. So, but no, his facility, you'll be in that chamber with multiple. Like I said, I've been in there with stroke patients, and mind you, if you have a stroke or know somebody that's had a stroke, that is one of the best things you can do for it, without a
Mm,
doubt. Without a doubt. Our partner, again, Hyperbaric Healing Institute, has been treating patients off label for over 25 years. And I mean, the things that he's seen, the individuals that have gone through that and those protocols, mind you, there's over 75 different diagnoses out there that have been identified, that have protocols to help with or mitigate whatever their symptoms or whatever the diagnosis is.
right.
It's unbelievable, unbelievable stuff. So
Wow.
um, I can't speak enough about it. I mean, like I said, it's
Yeah.
changed my life and of course my family. So
Right. Sure. Now, you said that you're part of the 65%. So do you go back for maintenance?
I've been asked to go back and do another round of 20 to 40. And of course it takes time, right? Because
Right.
it's roughly around an hour and a half, because you got to compress, which takes about 15 minutes. Then of course then receive the oxygen 100%, and then a 5-minute air break to prevent hyperoxygenation. And then, of course, put your hood back on to do another 30 minutes and then decompress. So it's a commitment, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a commitment that I wish I would have known, 20 years ago. And of course, having been undiagnosed with a TBI up until 2019, by the way, I didn't throw that out there.
Right.
Um, you know, once you heal it, I mean, it's you don't need the maintenance. You don't need the maintenance. So calling it maintenance, it's just I'd say you need just more treatments now.
Mm-hmm.
And once you heal, and there will be a threshold,
Right.
then
You're,
you won't need it anymore.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting and exciting at the same time.
It
Um,
is.
So this has been, Blake, this has been amazing. Hearing about your journey and obviously hearing, what you're doing with your organization to try to get these bills passed and working with, the legislative branch of government. Um, so, but we've come to the time where I need to ask you a very important question. And that is, what is your tactical treasure, Blake, that you would like to share with us today?
So my tactical treasure, I'd say, is giving people hope and healing. You
Mm.
know, I had gone almost 20 years and had been hopeless. I've been down that threshold. And say to an individual, that has lived and gone through my story for even longer than what I have, and say, hey, look, you can heal. You can heal the brain. It may not be being talked about in the VA because we're
Right.
battling that right now, but you
Yeah.
can truly heal. And again, hyperbarics is just the catalyst. There's neurofeedback. There's transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is approved and on the VA's formulary, and veterans can get it. But a lot of providers don't know about it, or they don't push it out there
Right.
because they're so
Right.
focused on the standard of care. So again, that I would say bringing hope and healing.
Right. I love that. That's a great tactical treasure. And obviously, what you do with your organization. I love your mission. And you're right. Everybody has a standard of care, and usually it's, the meds and, you know, talk therapy and that sort of thing. And that just doesn't work for everybody. And it's a shame that these other modalities are not talked about, these other non traditional care plans like HBOT. And I've heard of the what is it, transcranial stimulation?
Transcranial magnetic stimulation,
Mag-
TMS. Yep.
TMS. Yeah, I've heard about that as well. Um, you know, as another form of healing for, PTSD and TBI. And good for you for working hard and trying to get the word out and trying to get all these resources into the VA system.
Well, it's needed, and especially now more than ever. I mean, as you know,
Yeah,
we're losing 22 to 44. Of course, more current data outside the VA shows it's closer to 44 a day. And I'm not going to quit fighting, and
right,
because we have solutions,
right,
but it's just unfortunately we have to fight to get access to them. So
right, right. And that's a shame because if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So it's hard for you to be an advocate for yourself if you don't know that these other non-traditional um, care plans and treatments are available. So, couple more questions for you before we wrap up our time here. Any advice for fellow veterans struggling with TBI and PTSD? And how can your organization help with that?
yeah, so my best advice is, if you're going through, whether it's inside or outside of the VA, your traditional care, and you're not seeing improvements, don't give up. Don't give up. There's other modalities out there that help heal and that are non-pharmaceutical, and there's individuals that want to help you, including myself and our organization. So, if hyperbarics is something you're are interested in, and you're in and around Missouri or even outside of Missouri, we help connect veterans nationwide to approved hyperbaric oxygen therapy facilities that will treat at the appropriate protocol off label. It doesn't mean they'll treat for free. There are organizations out there that are funded through a bill. I
Hmm.
think there's 7 of them out there, and they'll cover the cost of it because hyperbarics is expensive, which is why we're fighting for it. But
Right.
don't give up on your health and wellness for sure. You got to be your own advocate, as you said.
Hmm.
Definitely have to be your own advocate. So reach out.
Yeah, that's great advice. So, I'm assuming that there isn't a cost for people to contact your organization and have your help to get them to resources?
Yep. So there's I believe, a get treatment button on our website. So
Okay.
helpourheroes.org, and they can just click on that, fill it out, and we'll kind of, depending on if they're in Missouri or outside of Missouri, we'll kind of direct them, get them to the appropriate facility that's closest to them. And if we don't know of one, we'll do a little bit of research to find one that's close to them, and then of course the next battle is getting the prescription.
Right.
Um, so the VA won't prescribe it. I've found maybe one provider that will, in and around the Kansas area and Missouri area, and I've only our facility has only seen it happen once. So I was able and fortunate to get personally my neurologist to write me a clinic note. That was as best as I could get. So if
Right.
you need help
Wow.
getting the prescription, there are providers that you can reach out to that know the efficacy of hyperbarics and neurohealth, and they can get you a prescription. Some will do it at no cost. So
Okay. And you can connect people with those folks that can write that prescription, correct?
correct.
Okay. That's great. Great information. And so people don't have to be necessarily in the Missouri area to contact you. This is nationwide. Somebody in Texas can go on there and say, get treatment.
Correct. Yep. They can get treatment, and like I said, I'll if they can't drive out here to get treatment at our facility, then we can get them connected to a more local facility. Again, not all of them are no cost. There's very few that do it, but
Right.
they are ones that will work with you.
Hmm. Yeah, that's important to know. But your health and wellness is really what it's all about, right? Mental wellness. Um, so, shout out to your website again where people can go and have you help them with resources.
It's helpourheroes.org.
Okay.
And again, we are fighting for both legislation and, of course, we'll connect veterans and first responders, really anybody that is looking to heal with hyperbaric to an appropriate facility. So always happy to help.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that information. We'll be sure to get the word out. Blake, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I really appreciate everything that you had to say and appreciate the great work that you're doing at Help Our Heroes. There's really such a need for it. So, and good luck with continuing the road to getting legislation for something like this. It's so needed.
It is. It is. I appreciate it. And we're just to let you know, we're working on Kansas right now, and we have a connection that is interested in California. So, and as
Oh,
we know,
wow. Okay.
California is what the second largest state with largest veteran population,
Hmm.
second largest veteran
Hmm.
population.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's needed.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. Blake, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate your time, sir.
Well, thank you, Tracy. Thank you for what you do.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast. We've just finished up a very enlightening conversation with Blake Richardson, who is a Marine Corps combat veteran, and he is now the founder of Help Our Heroes, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to advocating for our nation's veterans, service members, first responders, and their families. They aim to pass comprehensive support legislation at all levels of governance. By forging strategic partnerships, they secure funding and access to evidence-based treatments and therapies, such as hyperbaric oxygen therapy, that are crucial for addressing mental health challenges. Their vision is to provide hope and healing, empowering our heroes to overcome challenges and thrive. To learn more, go to helpourheroes.org. Again, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget, you can find Tactical Treasures Podcast on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms. American Grit on our website, tacticaltreasurespodcast.com, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. We are now airing on Reese Cross America Radio on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you miss that, be sure to join us on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern for the encore. You can also find Reese Cross America Radio on the iHeartRadio Radio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. We're also proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Reese Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 Veterans Wreath that you sponsor, $5 goes directly back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. You can donate right now at reesecrossamerica.org/JDog. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye bye now.